What's up YouTube? Capital G here, checking out the brand new Nemesis Archetype that just got revealed coming out of Eternity Code. You guys remember that card that I talked about a couple of days ago, Archnemesis Protos. I asked if the name was Spanish and all that good stuff. Essentially, it's kind of like tribe infecting virus on steroids. Well, it turns out that that's actually part of a new archetype coming out in Eternity Code. I thought it was just going to be essentially just like a one-of card, but nope, it is part of an archetype. And guys, this archetype is flipping scary. There is one card in here that I'm going to talk about first. I believe this card could be absolutely meta breaking, like format defining, and I don't know what the hell Konami was thinking when they designed this archetype, because it is absolutely crazy. So let's start with the card that I believe could break the entire game, Nemesis Corridor. This is a wind attribute thunder monster. It's a level 4, 1900 attack, 600 defense, and your first and second effects are hard once per turn. Okay, so when it comes to the little monsters in the archetype, they all kind of summon themselves very similar to this first effect that I'm going to read. You can target one of your banished monsters, except another copy of Nemesis Corridor, special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, shuffle that target into the deck. Second effect, you can target one of your banished Nemesis monsters, except another copy of Corridor, add it to your hand. Okay, so the most important thing to note about Nemesis Corridor, and I guess this technically applies to the other little Nemesis monsters, but to me it's like way more important when it comes to this monster in particular, is the special summon effect. It is not an inherent summon. It's not like Cyber Dragon or Chaos Dragon Levineer, BLS, anything like that. It's an actual effect that activates in your hand. It's like a danger monster or fantastical dragon phantasme, gamma, salaman, great gazelle, etc, etc. And some of you guys might be like, okay Cap, why does that make a difference whether it's an inherent summon or an activated effect? Well, you might have noticed this is a thunder type monster. See where I'm going with this? You now can splash this into basically any archetype or any crazy deck that you've made that banishes monsters, and you can drop Thunder Dragon Colossus. And by the way, it doesn't even eat up your normal summon. Can I interest you in that? Let's just say that you're playing a deck like Heroes or maybe Paleozoic Frogs. Can I interest you in a card that lets you reuse some of your most key resources? For instance, putting a Malicious that's banished back into your deck so that you can use it an additional time, or maybe one of those frog monsters that you banish for your rodent totem, so that I guess you'd be able to not run out of frogs as quickly. And this card, once again, I'll just point out, does not use your normal summon at all, so you don't have to worry about that. And now you can distribute it on the field and you get to summon a Thunder Dragon Colossus, in addition to, I guess, the Dark Law or the Totally Awesome that you were already going to summon. To me, that just seems absolutely insane, and it seems like this card is going to be so easily synergized with a billion archetypes in Yu-Gi-Oh! Just think about it, how easily you can incorporate this into like zombies or maybe Fluffles, put the Fluffle wings back into your deck, and in addition to like the totally awesome, you know, Titanic Galaxy plays that we see from Fluffles, yeah, I'll just go ahead and throw a Thunder Dragon Colossus on the field because fuck it, why not? I mean, if I'm playing a zombie deck, instead of just having Baller drop turn 1, I'll put that Malicious or that Glow Up Bloom, that Netherworld Banshee, I'll put those cards back into my deck and I'll get myself a free Colossus. I don't think Konami really thought about Thunder Dragon Colossus at all when they designed this card, but to me this card seems way too fucking splashable. And I've never been one of those Yu-Gi-Oh players who's been on the they gotta hit Thunder Dragon Colossus, you know, bandwagon, but I'm sorry, like Thunder Dragon Colossus is going to have to go to 1 if they're going to give us this card. If it would have been a Fiend Monster or a Beast Warrior, if it would have been a Sea Serpent or any other type in the game, this card would not have been as big of a deal. But the fact that it is a thunder type monster is way too fucking absurd. So yeah, this to me is like a format defining and or breaking card. Giving access to Thunder Dragon Colossus for any Yu-Gi-Oh deck seems pretty damn OP, but yeah, let's go ahead and check out some of the other cards. Anyways, the next monster is Nemesis Umbrella. This is a water attribute aqua monster. It's level 3, unfortunately. If it was level 2, it would also be broken. 1500 attack, 400 defense, and your first and second effects are both hard once per turn. First effect is the summoning condition. Very similar to Corridor, you can target one of your banished monsters except Umbrella, special summon this card, and if you do, shuffle that target back into the deck. Second effect, you can target one Nemesis monster in your graveyard except another copy of Umbrella, add it to your hand. Okay, so this is basically Warrior returning alive for the Nemesis archetype. Now, the reason that I said that it's a shame that this card is level 3 is because obviously if it would have been level 2, it's an aqua monster, it would have been able to go straight into totally awesome. And all of those plays that I was talking about where you're putting the frog monsters back into your deck, like this just would have been obviously a staple for like the Paleozoic deck, because it's also a water attribute. It would work with Swap Frog. I mean, I guess technically you could still use this in Paleo Frogs, it's just you can't summon totally awesome using this card. Like you're going to have to, I guess, go into like Mistar Boy or something like that. This seems fair for the Nemesis archetype. I'm not certain how easy it is going to be if you're playing a pure Nemesis deck to fill your graveyard up quickly. So that's the one thing that I'm a little concerned about, is this archetype doesn't have any inherent ways to fill its graveyard up really quickly. That's why I'm kind of talking about these cards being splashed into other decks and not necessarily you playing kind of a Nemesis pure deck. Anyways, Nemesis Flag is your level 2 fire attribute pyro monster. So sneaky volcanic support for the win. It's 1100 attack, 200 defense. Both effects hard once per turn. First effect is that summoning effect. Target one of your banished monsters except Flag, special summon this card and shuffle that card back into the deck. The first effect says, during your main phase, you can add one Nemesis monster from your deck to your hand, except another copy of Flag. Okay, so this is the searcher for the archetype, and I mean, it damn sure helps you get to the Nemesis Corridor a lot easier. That, of course, being the card we just talked about that summons Colossus. I think that if you're playing an archetype or a deck that really banishes a lot of monsters, I could definitely see you playing like a little baby Nemesis engine, like 3 or 4 cards, and them having a major impact. I was thinking about a deck like Tenyi. We know how like Tenyi, they banish all their cards to activate effects. Well, what if you could just put those Tenyi monsters back into your deck so that you could use them later, and then you'd also be able to, you know, do some cool things like get a Colossus on board. These cards don't eat up your normal summon at all, but you can use them as a normal summon. So that's why I feel like they're really splashable, because they special summon themselves. I mean, I don't really know if this is going to be a pure archetype, but like I don't really think it has to be, because to me Flag and Corridor are such valuable cards. Unless Konami like bans Colossus, then you know, basically rest in peace to that entire idea. But as it stands right now, these seem very valuable. Anyways, let's check out another boss monster for the archetype. We already know about Eschatos, so let's check out the other boss monster. This is Archnemesis Protos. It's a dark worm monster. It's a Nami, level 11, and it's 2500 attack, 3000 defense. Actually, it's not a Nami, excuse me. It says, must first be special summoned from your hand by banishing 3 monsters with different attributes from your graveyard and or face up from your field. This card's second effect is a hard once per turn. First effect cannot be destroyed by card effects. Second effect is almost identical to Eschatos. Except instead of declaring a type, you declare an attribute. You can declare one attribute among attributes on the field. Destroy all monsters with the declared attribute. Also, neither player can special summon monsters with the declared attribute until the end of the next turn. Okay, so for the most part, everything that I said about Eschatos, you can kind of apply to this card. I do believe that this card can be a little more difficult because, like, you do have some archetypes. Lightsworn is like a prime example of this, where you have a bunch of monsters that are one attribute, but their typing pool is like all over the place. If I'm not mistaken, For Hire is like that too. For Hire, like all the monsters are Earth attribute, if I'm not mistaken, but their types are kind of all over the place. Ritual Beast might be like another example, but I think that you could definitely find this, like you could find some ways of summoning this card. There are going to be attribute or archetypes very similar to Fluffles. Fluffles, the attribute pool is all over the place. A deck like Prank Kids, same kind of thing. The attribute pool is all over the place. I do believe this card is probably better going first than Eschatos, because if nothing else, even if you just had this card on field and no other monsters, you could lock your opponent out of special summoning dark monsters by just declaring dark, and this card obviously would not be destroyed by its own effect. And to me, that could be valuable because dark is like the best attribute in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you're just telling a lot of decks they can't special summon dark monsters, they might have a very tough time. Anyways, let's check out the final card, which is a spell card. It's a quick play spell called Nemesis Adrastia. It's a hard once per turn, and it says target one of your Nemesis monsters that is currently banished or in the graveyard. Special summon it, but if the special summon monster's original level is 11 or higher, so either one of the boss monsters, it cannot activate its effects during this turn. Okay, so this is just kind of like a recursion card. It summons back one of your Nemesis monsters, whether they be in the graveyard or if they happen to be banished. You can even summon the boss monsters back. Keep in mind that this unfortunately does not ignore summoning conditions. I really wish that it did that. I wish you could summon the boss monsters from like the banished pile or from the graveyard without actually having to inherently summon them first, but this can be used in the battle phase. If you summon those boss monsters in the battle phase, like their effects might not even matter. You might just be able to win through roll damage, and it seems like a pretty cool card. I think that this archetype as a whole, like if you're going to play a pure Nemesis build, is missing some turbo cards. Like what they need is a card like Solar Recharge. Like they need a card that not only lets them get through their deck, but also put some cards in the graveyard. I think they need something like that, or I mean, they need like Lightsworn-S cards. They don't have ways, in my opinion, of filling the graveyard up quickly enough, and that's why I don't think that you'll be able to run this as a pure deck. But to me, running this as an engine or just running a couple of these cards selectively will be a lot more effective, and I still can't get over how ridiculous the Nemesis Corridor is. But whatever you guys think of the Nemesis cards, leave it in the comment section below. Also, is Thunder Dragon Colossus getting hit now, guys? Answer that question as well. Thank you guys for watching. As always, subscribe if you have not already, and turn on that notification bell for daily videos.